So, welcome to this episode, and I thank you for subscribing. I'm gratified that our number of subscribers is going up. So if there's anything particular I'm doing that you like, that resonates with you, please let me know what that is. And if there's things that I'm doing that you don't care for, please, same thing, let me know. Ooh, baby, a hot one. And thank goodness for solar panels that allow me to sit in the shade here. So we just came back from the fuel docks. That's all we did today. A little bit of maneuvering practice with the boat, but we were just so damn hot. We came back in. So this weekend we'll take the boat back out when it's windy and get out on the bay and actually sail the thing. So in the last couple of weeks, what's been going on? First, we had Hurricane Elsa. Hurricane Elsa came to town, and I'll show you in this episode some of the things we did as preparation to get ready for the hurricane. I was right here in this exact location. The boat was in this exact orientation during the storm, and we weathered it okay. But we did some, we did some work to prepare. One of them was fill the potable water tanks, because there's always a chance after a hurricane that you might not have city water for a few days. And I've got 120 gallons of fresh water capacity on the boat, and I fill her up. Another thing I did was clean cockpit drains, because in the cockpit where I'm standing, it's like a bathtub. There's no natural way for water to drain out, so you have holes in the bottom, and the cockpit drains were clogged on the starboard side, so we cleaned that up. And I stowed the dinghy on the deck, so the dinghy is no longer on the back of the boat. It's no longer in the water. She's up on the top of the deck here, just being a dinghy, a utility craft. And looking ahead to the day when I take off and go somewhere, we're going to need fuel. So I used the dinghy the last time before I put up the dinghy. I took it over to the fuel dock and got 4 jerry cans of fuel. I brought in a fuel cleaning team to empty the fuel tank and mechanically clean the fuel tank and suck all the bad molecules of diesel off the boat. No water was in the fuel, a lot of sediment though, and there was a lot of algae, so it stunk to high heaven. It didn't even smell like diesel fuel, but that's been done, and we'll show you that in this episode. And really, now it's a matter of getting my radios and my AIS are sorted, my navigation tools are sorted. I'll show you that stuff, and picking a destination, and then loading up food and groceries and going. So and within a week, I'll be underway. When I get underway, it'll be about a 5 or 6 day trip, and I'll be incommunicado during that time. But in this episode, I'll show you how you can monitor the boat's position using my AIS signal. As long as somebody out there gets me, then my position will be getting broadcast. And I'll be probably heading southwest for Mexico. That's probably where I'm going to go. Heavy weather. Rig the ship for heavy weather. All divisions report status to central control. All divisions report status. Oh, hey there. So it's Hurricane Elsa, or Tropical Storm Elsa, whatever it is. Let me show you what we've done to protect the boat so we can survive the night. You can hear the noise, but there's no leaks. And no leaks there. looks like when the tank is full. It's the cockpit drains. Yeah, so one of them is plugged. One of them is, yeah, so one of the cockpit drains is clogged. And it's really, oh, that was just my head. Ow, shit, sheet suck. Okay, so this is the drain here. Starboard corner, there's one under the engine hatch right there. And this one goes down, goes this way with an elbow into the drain that's here, and then it goes out and down out of the boat. I'll show you that in a minute here. Okay, so we're filming here in the event I lose the ship and go down with it. So for the record, please know that I'm pretty well loaded. I've had 3 beers and a glass of rum. So what you're looking at here is a hose with a plug in it. This is open to sea. And that's because that seacock valve cannot be closed. I can't budge it. Again, I put every ounce of my ass into that. Can't move it, and frankly, I'm afraid to use too much energy on it. I'm afraid I'll just break it right off, and then I'll really sink. But somewhere between here, ignore this hose, ignore this one, and this fitting, there's a clog. And you can see, I'll just take a step further back. So, see the one with the plug in it? That connected to the gray elbow above it, and that's the cockpit drain. See, comes from there and there. They both kind of tee together, and they form the cockpit drain. And it's supposed to go out where the plug is, through the hose, uphill into that T fitting and out of the boat. The fitting coming off the back is one other cockpit drain. Basically, this line between the white T and the gray elbow, that forms a loop seal, and sediment collects in it. So the next action for me is to separate that fitting and be ready to put a plug in it really, really fast, really, really quickly, to stop flooding, because this is below the water line. So the dripping you see is pretty much seawater dripping in. It's under seawater pressure. So it's not crazy. It's not gonna like blow my head off or cut my arms off or sink the boat in a minute. I have bilge pumps and they work, and this water that leaks in will eventually make it to the bilge and they'll get pumped out that way. But I'm about ready now to go ahead and pull this off, and then we'll just see what happens. So this looks like a giant nasty vulture bird shit on my deck, but that's not true. That fell out of the hose. I see an old butt splice connector, Lord knows what else, and down in the dock, see that pile of absolute shit, you know, just that all came out of the hose. So when troubleshooting why the hose wasn't passing water, that's why. That black plastic fitting turns out to be a one-way valve, a check valve, and it was installed backwards. Also, that probably didn't help. It's a gun. This describes it all. So let's get this all cleaned up. We're done already. Did not flood the boat. Passes under the exhaust hose there to that white T-fitting. Now I'll double check the tightness of all the hose clamps, and otherwise we're going to declare that good. Let's clean up that shit off the dock. Move on to the next task. And what do we have here? We have just absolute shit. That was down the cockpit drains. I know the shadows are messing with us here. Are we really surprised, huh? It's freaking hot here. It's July 5. Expecting a storm tomorrow. Expected to be primarily a rain event. And with the rain event, the cockpit drains had to be working, because I was going to otherwise flood the cockpit, which would leak into the engine compartment and thereby flood the engine compartment, or drip on the engine, which is currently open because I don't have the heat exchanger back. So for all those reasons, I decided one way or another, by God, even if I'm risking flooding, I'm going after that and get this shit out of there, and I did. So the good news is we got water from the open sea when we got it, when we expected it, and I used my assembly of wooden corks to plug the holes when we needed it, and everything kind of went exactly as expected, believe it or not. The only thing I didn't expect was to find a check valve and also to find it backwards. But again, you can still out your picture. Maybe that is expected. Okay. So one thing you'll see that's different is that there's very little out here. The dinghy is gone. It's sitting over there beyond the sailboat. There's the dinghy with the blue. It's upside down. So done filled with water. It's sitting on our picnic table. And the boat itself, pretty well denuded of everything topside. We've got the cushions tied off, and the remaining cushions are in here in the locker, down here. I'm keeping the boat hook handy, because that's probably going to be used once or twice during the night. The scrubby brush is no need, and I'm keeping a couple of spare lines handy here as well. You know, because you just never know. I've already put one on another boat. These extra fenders are standing by as well, just in case. So, stick with me here, baby. Okay, now I'm just walking topside. So, right now the winds are blowing about 25 knots. Nothing to be too worried about. Okay, so what do we see? My staysail has been lowered down because this hatch won't properly batten down. Okay. Yeah, so in the head compartment, this guy and this guy, I just can't turn them at all. So this hatch really cannot be battened down. The head sail, see this extra line here? That line there, that is an extra line intended to make sure that I don't unfurl the head sail. That same rope comes back here and ties a knot around this sail to make sure it doesn't want to pull up and deploy itself. That's the purpose of that line as well, which continues to the main and performs the same function here. The red lines, these guys, they're already, that's their function already, so I'm just double tying them. I've got the sheets in hard, that's one as tight as it can go. So I don't think anything's going to go anywhere. I've got some halyards that are going to smack around a bit tonight, but I'm content with that. Not too worried. And you'll notice just nothing else on deck. Nothing that could blow away, because things will blow away. Here comes the rain. We finished work on the diesel about 30 minutes ago. I can see a sail has come loose behind the houseboat. Good. Predict wind. That's the software that I use. I think lots of sailors do. It gives me a wind map. Okay, and you can see the wind has passed. Yeah, see though, there's wind heading up the coast of Florida. You can see the center of the storm there. It sounds horrible. But yeah, so I'm getting southerly winds today. You can see my location is a green dot. And I'm, gonna get southerly winds all day, and later theoretically and veer to the west, but it'll be fizzled by then. So let's go outside and take a look. Last night the winds were coming pretty hard on the east, which is this way, and we were all braced for that and rode it up pretty good. The highest wind I thought I felt was probably, I would guess, 35 to 40 knots, maybe a 45 knot gust here or there. Not too bad. And my boat didn't move at all. This Hunter was really bouncing around a lot and kind of causing a ripple effect onto me. So I was rolling a wee bit, but my boat never moved. We had to adjust lines on some of the other boats in the marina during the wee hours. So last night the concern was my boat being blown that way. Now the concern is it being blown towards me. To that end, I put this line up and as a spring line to the post. That's an add-on, and I'm going to do another one to that post as soon as I put the camera down. Okay. Press enter to register your MMSI. Oh my God, how hard How the hell you do that? I guess we'll go up. That can't be good. So, the AIS is the automatic identification system. Its purpose is to track the location of merchant vessels primarily. You can see how many boats are out there. And I am broadcasting on the AIS system. That's the bottom line. If you look at the websites that I'm putting up here, you can take my call sign and you can go look it up, and you can find the position of my ship anytime you feel like. That's the sound of diesel leaving the boat. How many gallons a minute can you pump or suck?
About 15.
Per minute?
Yep.
Right. I think there's only 18 gallons in there, more monetized. That's why we're... And I'm not.
Right.
Okay, so guys, what we're looking at here is fuel tank, I'll call it emptying right now. We're sucking every drop of shit fuel out of the boat. And then we're going to suck all the drops out of the fuel hoses. So you can see 3 small fuel hoses at the top of the tank. One of them is a vent line that goes up near the fill connection. One of them goes to the engine to provide fuel. And the other is a fuel return line. Something gasoline engines don't have, but diesels do. So. So, on the personal side of things, there's 2 personality aspects that I always have to work with on my own. One of them is, I could very easily sit here for 5 years, slowly working on the boat and slowly fixing every little thing until she is perfect in every way. And by then, become so comfortable that you never leave. That describes almost every boat you see behind me. None of them ever leave the dock. They just become a floating condo for folks. And I'm already there. I've been here for almost 2 exact months in this slip, and I'm already feeling it. I'm into a routine. I have my shower at the same time every day. I know where I like to eat. I know where I like to grab a beer. You know, all the routine things are now implanted, and it's difficult for me to break free of those. It's so easy to just say, well, we'll just stay a couple more weeks. Well, we'll just keep the boat here. You know, and then you never go. And if that's the case, I might as well just quit this whole effort and get a job and buy a condo and all that, buy a car and all that normal stuff. So that's one thing I fight against. And the second thing is, you know, I don't know, scaredy cat, being timid, being just a little nervous about actually getting out there. Being under sail on the water, it doesn't concern me one bit. Navigating doesn't concern me one bit. My concern is that the boat doesn't have an auto helm. I don't have a crewmate to help me steer, you know, when I'm taking a nap. So it's going to be slow progress. You know, it's been done by other sailors. Hundreds of sailors over the years have done this, and there are strategies for it. But still, the actual act of breaking out of your comfort zone, which is now St. Petersburg, Florida, in a marina right downtown, and breaking free of that and actually leaving this harbor, knowing you're not coming back, you know, that is going to be a new feeling for me, and I'm looking forward to having done it. But I'm a little nervous about doing it. So that's going to happen in the next few days. So with that, cheers everybody. Have a great day. Bye. Yeah, this buck has pretty much had it, and I'm going to throw it away. But it was a pretty effective book for, at a high level, quickly covering a lot of topics to help people understand. I used it when I was in the Marshall Islands. This is the book I used to base my course on to teach basic electricity. So, but this book is just falling apart. So it's got to go. It can't stay. Came from over there. Put this down. I'm gonna back up for a moment. We'll try backing up.
Okay.